Women make up nearly half of Nigeria's population, yet they remain underrepresented in decision-making positions and face significant barriers to education, health care, and economic opportunities. Every woman or girl has the potential to make the world a better place, and that potential lies in the act of higher thinking and depth of feelings. With these qualities, there is therefore no limit to what women can accomplish if given the opportunity to express themselves and create change around the globe. And so, on this episode of Frontiers, we shall take a look at how women's potential can be tapped for Nigeria's growth. I am Frama Panyi, and our guest is Dr. Asabe Vilita Bashir, Director General Mariam Babangida Center.
Thank you very much.
We will take a next step to set the tone for today's discussion.
The Minister of Women Affairs, while commending the President Bola Tinubu's led government for breaking the barrier for the first time in the history of the ministry, said that the future is bright for Nigerian women as the ministry will scale up on its Women Economic Empowerment Program, the ministry's legacy project, National Electronic Dashboard, and EU-UN Spotlight Initiative with the ministry to tackle GBV.
Structured support for women entrepreneurs. Under the Nigerian for Women project Scale Up, we must accelerate efforts towards political inclusion, ensuring that women have a seat at the table, not as token, but as equal partners in governance and development.
The minister called on women to strengthen their unity, determination, and commitment to tackling the challenges that have held them back from realizing the full potentials of Nigerian women and girls.
Once more, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Now, let's start the discussion this way.
Okay.
What are the most significant barriers or, issues to women's empowerment in Nigeria?
Women have a lot of barriers militating against their empowerment. Among them is the economic barrier. As we all know, everything revolves around economy. Women have limited access to financial resources. Women don't have access to credit facilities, and women don't have equal opportunities to job opportunities. And another big barrier is the educational barrier. We all know how important education is in our lives, in our day-to-day activities. And we can see that in our environment, women have limited access to education compared to the male counterpart, especially in the northern Nigeria, where women are seen to be sitting at home, or they are not being encouraged, or they are not being taken to school by their parents. So all these are factors that militate against women empowerment. Another big factor is the traditional and cultural norms, the patriarchal tradition of our communities, our society. We have early child marriage, where our girls are being given out for marriage at a very tender age of from 11 years. They are not given that opportunity to go to school. And the gender roles in our homes, where certain jobs are seen to be that of the boys and that of the girls. So all these are things that militate against our girls. And another one is our legal laws that support women's empowerment are not being enforced, and that greatly affect the empowerment of the girl child.
Okay.
And the biggest among them is the political barrier. As we see, women are grossly underrepresented in governance, generally speaking, and also decision making levels. Women are not being carried along despite our population. Women make up more than 50% of this country, and yet are not given their voice to be heard at the decision-making table. When it comes to leadership, women are not being considered. You look at our political structure, from the executive arm of government, very few women are being considered as ministers. You look at the legislative arm of government, out of 369 honorable members of the House of Representatives, we have only 16 women. We look at the Senate, out of 109 senators, we have only 4 women. So that is how it goes. If you go to the states, it's the same thing. You have 20-something honorable commissioners. You find that only 2 women are commissioners. Okay. And it goes down like that to the grassroots. In the local government, we have only 1 or 2 female councillors. So women are grossly underrepresented, and these greatly are barriers to women's empowerment.
Okay. How can women's empowerment contribute, or what can some of the effects it can have on development in our country?
Wow. Women's participation cannot be overemphasized, because they are team players, and all over the world, women are seen to be in the forefront of economic activities. If women are empowered, there will be economic activities, and that way it will boost the GDP of any country. Okay. And we know that women have passion, or women are the managers of their homes. If woman is empowered, the welfare of the family will be enhanced, and an educated or empowered woman will also translate that into her children. The children of an empowered woman will always stand out, because she will put in her best to see to the education of her children, and also she will put in her best to the health care of her children. And as the general saying goes, when you empower a woman, you empower not just an individual, you empower a household, you empower a community, you empower the whole nation, because women are real managers of our homes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about empowering women, now let's take a look at that economically. How can that be promoted through, entrepreneurship, job creation, financial inclusion?
Wow, that is another good way, because entrepreneurship, this is an opportunity where you teach women skills, because we all cannot go for white-collar jobs. So through entrepreneurship, you teach women different kind of skills of their own interests. And as the popular saying goes, it's better to teach someone how to catch the fish than to give the person fish to eat, because you can always come back for another portion. Yeah. But if you teach women skills and you back it up with a startup grants, they are going to strive, and that will boost the economy of our nation. Okay. Yes.
You had spoken about the political factor when we were talking about women empowerment. How can women's participation in politics and decision-making process, how can we encourage it? How can we increase it?
Yes, this is what I've been agitating in this country all over for decades now. The way we can increase women participation, because already these women have already been marginalized over the years. It's a long time scourge that we are fighting. And the only way that it can be encouraged is to make deliberate maybe create quota, affirmative action for appointive and elective positions. Create certain quota for the women, so that you can give them deliberate, participation, make them inclusive in the governance. If you do that, it's a deliberate way of, it will be a deliberate way of inclusive governance. And another way is advocacy. We all know that women are doing very, very well in all sectors of the economy. And if given the opportunity, girls do even better than the men. So I have the strong belief that if we take up the challenge with our local, with our communities, the community leaders, so that we can go on that campaign on the need for gender inclusion in governance and the need to educate the girl child, because it starts from there. It will not be given, power will not be given on a platter of gold. A girl child must be educated. So there must be that deliberate attempt to educate the girl child, and that has to be done through vigorous campaign on parents to release their daughters to go to school.
Okay. Now, you have spoken about the side of, appointing women into power and office. They say power is not given, it is taken.
Yeah.
What is the center doing, to get women to comfort, to encourage them to come out, to take these positions?
I was just trying to say that after providing, when a quota is provided, or if there's an affirmative action for women's inclusion, another thing is leadership training, because our women are coming from a background that hitherto they have been sidelined, discriminated against. So we have to create leadership training for our girls, for the girl child, so that she grows up with that leadership. Example are the Madam Babangida National Center for Women Development, where I am the chief executive. We have this leadership. We have a resource center where we provide leadership for our young girls and our young aspiring female politicians. We mentor them, we inspire them, we give them all the necessary things they need to aspire to develop interest into politics. Because as we are advocating for inclusion, we must be able to show interest. And when we show interest, we should be able to present women that can do it. It's not just anybody. So we have to give leadership training to our ladies to inspire them into leadership positions, and also make deliberate attempts, advocacy, to encourage women to participate in politics. Because if we continue to be crying about inclusion, they may say, where are you? Are we going to call you out to come and give you positions? No. So we have to indicate interest. Therefore, there must be vigorous advocacy to inspire the girl child, to inspire to go into politics.
This is Frontiers, and we're taking a look at unlocking women's potential for national growth. The conversation continues shortly. Now, before we went on that break, we were talking about how to get women to show interest, to come out, to participate and say, okay, yes, we can do this. Take us along. Now, we have the aspect of the culture and the social norms in Nigeria. These are inimical, not only to women's empowerment, but also to their well-being. What is being done to change this narrative?
What can be done to change these narratives of these cultural norms is working with the traditional leaders at the grassroots, through our NGOs and activists. There are some NGOs and activists that have the mandate of working on gender issues, like the UN Women Now, like so many of them activists that are NGOs that are into gender mainstreaming. So we have to encourage them to work on our community leaders so that they can break that gene, so that we use our traditional leaders to educate our community members on the importance of allowing the girl child to bring out her potentials, or to be able to strive or to live up to the expectation of whatever she wants to achieve in life. And apart from that, there has to be media campaign.
Okay.
Media, you have to come in because you have to bring out the advantages of either electing a woman or the advantage of empowering a woman, giving very good examples of how women have done in the past, or in fact from independence, we have women in history, in the Nigerian history, that have done so much in leadership positions, you know, give such examples. So we use the media, we use the community structure to work on our parents. I think that will give way to people allowing the girl child to aspire into leadership positions.
Okay. Now, how can existing laws, you know, policies be strengthened to reform to better promote or encourage women's empowerment?
What can be done is to strengthen those laws by way of, enforcing them, enforcing them. We have existing laws already in place, like National Policy on Gender, like Child's Rights Act, like VAP Act, like African Charter, all these, like WE policy, all these are policies that encourage the empowerment of the girl child.
Okay.
But they are not being enforced. They are in place, but they are not being enforced. Okay. So if our government can enforce those laws, I believe that it will go a long way in combing the manners. And another thing is that we need to be updating some of these updated laws.
Okay.
That does not that are outdated on the girls' equal rights. So we have to be updating our laws and enforcing them. These are measures that, and also make some laws again that will encourage the girls, especially in the area of marriage.
Yeah.
We must make laws that will stop this early girl child marriage, because parents are into that. Unless there's a law in place, parents will continue to practice it, and will continue to affect the girl child. So these are the few measures that, if really want to encourage the girl child, they must be in place.
Talking about working, you know, sensitizing the women, talking to them, what is it like, you know, working with the traditional rulers, religious leaders, to what role can they play in promoting women's empowerment, you know, challenging the harmful practices away from the traditions and the norms?
Well, yeah, traditional rulers are the custodians of the communities, and they work hand in hand with government structure. So if you are coming from government, encouraging the girl child to be empowered, and here we are, the tradition is kicking against it, we must work hand in hand with traditional leaders to talk to his people, bringing out the advantages of a girl child being empowered. Like I said, bringing out there's no community now, that doesn't have a sterling example of a girl child that has thrived, have reached her potentials, and is helping the family. So we must engage the community leaders in that aspect, because the people in the community, they only listen to their leaders. They don't believe in this government structure, because some of them even feel the government is against their tradition. So the traditional title holders are the custodians of the norms, and they are the custodians of the people. So if they bring out the advantages of either educating or empowering a girl child, I believe it will go a long way in relaxing some of the traditional norms in our communities.
What are some of the measures that the center has put in place to work with these traditional rulers, and what has been the experience? What has it been like?
In the first place, the creation of the center was out of the discrimination against women, because women have been lagging behind over the years, and it was a deliberate effort to make up for the shortfall that women that we are facing in the national development. So what we do at the center is we train women, because, like we said, generally speaking, women are lagging, or they don't have access to equal education. So we take it as a challenge that if, for instance, you have fallen out of education, you have not gone far in school, you have to fall back to skills acquisition.
Okay.
You know, come and acquire skills. We train you in the area of your interests, because we have different vocational skills. Then we give you a startup pack,
Okay.
start up something you go and start business with. So that way it will better your life and you continue from there.
Okay.
And like I said, we provide leadership training, we provide mentorship for the younger girls, and we go from state to state to collaborate with the Women Affairs Ministry because that is our main mandate.
Now, being in the center, you know, being the DG for this National Center for Women Development, you work a lot with women. Tell us, what are some of the strategies that can be employed to reduce, you know, violence against women and promote their overall well-being?
It's a scourge that it's a necessary evil that we are all living with. But I believe that the treatment for violence against women is empowerment. If a woman is empowered and helps the family, I don't think there will be any chaos in the family that will cause any form of violence. But be that as it may, what can be done to combat violence in the society is to adhere to, maybe to put stringent measures in place for these perpetrators. Because if we see our men killing their wives and the laws that are in place are not stringent enough, you know, to scare other men from doing the same thing. These things keep on happening every day in our communities. If we have stringent measures in place, I believe it will reduce violence in the family. And another thing is that we must provide shelters for these victims of violence. Violence takes place everywhere on a daily basis. As a government, which is the government of the people, for the people, and by the people, we must provide shelters for these victims so that they can go and recover from that shock. Because when you're a victim, for you to live in that same environment, the stigma is there, shame is there, so many things are there to dampen your spirit. So government must provide shelter for the victims of violence across board. Then another thing is government should provide hotlines, which we have in the ministry. Hotlines, not only in the ministry, should be done everywhere, police station, ministries, anywhere that a victim of violence can always reach out to, because that call may save a life. We must provide hotlines for victims of violence. Another thing that can be done is giving legal support. Legal support to victims. Some of these women are poor. They don't even know what it means they don't even know their rights in the first place. So if we have legal backing, we have a legal support that you can run onto for legal support, I think that will help a great way. By the time that issues are taken up legally, I think it will scare some of these perpetrators of this violence.
Asabe Bashir, it's been an absolute pleasure having you come on the program and sharing your thoughts with us, talking to us about women empowerment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers.
On today's episode of Frontiers, we took a look at unlocking women's potential for Nigeria's growth, and our guest has been Dr. Asabe Bashir, Director General Mariam Babangida National Center for Women Development. Thanks for your time.